And let's see how is, you guys can see the PowerPoint. Okay. Well, good to be with everybody. Hope everybody had a great weekend. Before we start, right, please remember to chat in questions, observations, curiosities, right? Always good to share. So today we're going to talk about possibilities and about how we look at things and how we choose to view things is what really determines the amount and the quality of the possibilities that we have in any given situation. And so if you think about possibilities, okay, in terms of in a particular circumstance, right? The amount of possibilities that we have, they really flow like a river. Okay, you know how rivers flow to the ocean, and they kind of branch off, as our picture here shows, and they all end up one place. They all end up in a ocean, right? Which if you take a look at the ocean as being kind of like that's like the end outcome, right? The question is, how do we get there, right? And what is the outcome we want? So our possibilities flow really like a river to the ocean with all sorts of branches, and it's really kind of a matter of, well, like which one do we take? And to start with is kind of to understand that the more narrow our view of what the possibilities are, okay, the fewer the choices we're going to have. Now that sounds to me like phenomenally remedial, but like I have to remind myself of that, okay, that why do we have to think in terms of narrow possibilities when if we think in terms of expansive, okay, then there's a lot more opportunities. And so what happens is that if we're starting on some endeavor, okay, then well, what are all the opportunities? So it could be just career. Okay, well, what are the careers? Well, I'm making all this up. I didn't go to college. So that means my opportunities are this small. No, they're always this big, right? And or whatever the case may be, right? You're starting out on a fitness regimen, or you're starting off learning a language, or pick anything, right? And the opportunities are always as expansive as we allow them to be. And this is a PhD physicist Susan Larson, who does work in the quantum world, okay? And she does some work on like timelines and things like that. And she asks this question was, well, how good can it get, right? Well, it can get as good as you want it to get. It's just simply a matter, are we looking at it more narrowly, or are we looking at it expansively? If we're looking at it expansively, it can get pretty good. If we're going to look at things, outcomes and possibilities in a more narrow perspective, well, maybe not so much. And so it's simply really a matter of how we choose to look at things, because how we look at things and how we think about things, okay, creates a resonant energy and a resonant frequency, which is what we attract. And so this is a little bit of law of attraction stuff, but it's true. And this by tuning forks, right? So if you take a tuning fork and then you ping it, and then it will resonate with another tuning fork if it's close by, okay, in the same way. And so really, whatever view we have on something, whatever view of the possibilities that we have is what we send out, all right? Well, it's what we get back as well. And so if we have a narrow view, like if you think about it for a second, if we start something or we're looking at possibilities and have a very narrow view, it's really unlikely, if you think about it, okay, remember I'd say impossible, that you're going to start with a narrow view and you're going to get back much larger possibilities, unless you've changed your thinking somewhere along the way, right? And so it's really a matter of what you attract. And the law of attraction is universal, and every person is affected by it. And it's always true that what I think and what I feel and what I get are always in a match. And if you think about that, okay, if you really stop and you take a look around at either your circumstance or circumstance of somebody you might know, right? And if you've got somebody that um, thinks that they're not worthy. All right, it's kind of a basic assumption we could use, right? For somebody, if they think they're not worthy of a certain thing, if they think they're not worthy of success, well, they typically aren't going to be successful. If they think they're worthy of success, however they define it, doesn't mean it's monetary. Okay, so I'd argue that monetary is probably the least successful. If they don't feel as if they're due happiness, then they will not have happiness. If they feel like they are, okay, or they're deserving of it, then that's what they're going to attract. And that's where you start getting into possibilities. When we start expanding, right, what we believe the scope of the possibilities are for what we can have in a certain circumstance, okay, we do that, then that's what we're going to get back. If we go into a very narrow, right, a very narrow perspective, okay, that's what we're going to get back, right? Now, caveat, that's not to say that our thoughts and how we look at things, this isn't like a shotgun, okay? If you like each life encounter we have, okay, could be career, relationship, kids, health, I mean, pick anyone thing, right? If you take a look at each one of those kind of in isolation, and then you expand what you think the opportunities are, okay, then that's when you start to get back, right? And you start to get back larger options, larger possibilities. And then if you start to make that a habit in everything you do, okay, you make it a habit, then that's what you're going to get back. And then all of a sudden, okay, you've got critical mass of a lot of possibilities in lots of areas of your life. And then you can start choosing the ones you want, because it's really all about choice, right? If I narrow what I think the possibilities are, I'm not going to get a lot of choices. But if I'm expansive about it, I'm going to get a lot of choices. Okay, much like river going to the ocean. So, possible outcomes are as expansive as our imagination will allow us to dream up. You can, whatever it is you can dream up, you can do. And I always like the thought of action. Okay, so it's one thing to have big dreams, right? We see a lot of people who have big dreams, or a lot of people who can think big, but it has to be followed up by action. So just initiating the thought in and of itself is not good enough. Okay, you have to initiate the emotion, the thought, with action, and then all of a sudden, okay, things start to happen, right? One from a business world, okay, but I kind of look at it as kind of really pure law and attraction, really, as Walt Disney and his brother as well, because they were together as partners. And if you think about Disney World, right, in Orlando, that's built on over 27,000 acres that it took them years to put together. They had 51 different landowners that they had to buy it from. 27,000 acres at a time when there was nothing there. I mean, nothing, right? But they had this vision. And I love this quote. It's kind of fun to do the impossible. I mean, who would have ever thought, 40, 50, 60 years ago, probably more like 50, 60 years ago, that what exists today, okay, in Kissimmee and Orlando, right, as Disney World, right? When you looked at that scrub land, not much on it, right? Who would have ever dreamed of what it would be there today, right? So it's a matter of allowing ourselves to think, first about like what are the possibilities, be open to the things, even things we haven't, things that we might even be a little skeptical about, like really, like I could do that, but accept it, right? Accept those things as things you can do, okay? And then that's what you're going to attract. If you want to do any fun research about a business, so Disney is a fun one to research. They're in a lot of the news now with social issues, but its formation of it years ago is really pretty fascinating. So let's see what we've got for any comments. Okay, nothing in the chat. So, All right. So be thinking about looking at possibilities and looking at potential, okay? Not from a narrow view, but from lots of different possibilities. And we start thinking expansively. That's what we attract. So have a great week. Good to be with everybody. Take care.